Welcome back to the feast. Have you discovered who the culprit is? Well, what is your guess? Really? That's an interesting idea. I've done a bit of investigating of my own and believe I have come to the truth. First, let's look at each of the very suspicious students from that night. Roger Davies may have lied about his alibi and skipped Quidditch practice, but he was in fact having a lovely picnic with his new girlfriend, the ghost moaning Myrtle, and who can blame him for being a bit bashful to announce that to the entire school. Next up, young Susan Bones, who was indeed furious with Mr. Filch for insulting Professor Gilderoy Lockhart, for whom she had a tremendous crush, and it could have led her in revenge to attack the cat. But no, she was at dueling club during the time of the attack and so could not be to blame. Now, Millicent Bulstrode's cat was in dire need of grooming, and her charm skills weren't up to the task. But no self-respecting Slytherin could be seen brushing a cat like some common muggle. Did she try to practice her grooming charm on Mrs. Norris and have it go terribly wrong, leaving the cat bald? Again, no. She was at an all-Slytherin house meeting with Professor Snape and could not be to blame. Now, Justin Finch Fletchley, always seemingly the gentleman, was also enraged with Filch for starting the rumor that Harry Potter was the heir of Slytherin, who was opening the Chamber of Secrets and unleashing the basilisk on students. Could he have been the one to attack Mrs. Norris in a fit of vengeance? Again, no, it could not be possible, as he was spending the evening in the hospital wing, recovering from his recent petrification. That leaves us with Hannah. Hannah Abbott, so sweet and innocent, was upset that several of her friends were having problems with Mr. Filch. First, her friend Susan, who is madly in love with Professor Lockhart, which I find quite inappropriate. Well, she had overheard Filch saying he was the worst teacher the school had ever had. Hannah isn't the type to lose her cool, but she was very upset at seeing how devastated Susan was. Later, she overheard her other friends, Justin and Ernie, talking about how angry they were that Filch made up all those lies about Harry Potter being the heir of Slytherin. All of her friends were so passive, Hannah knew she must be the one to get revenge on Filch. So she hatched a plan to get the whole thing blamed on the Slytherins. She knew Millicent Bulstrode's cat was having some kind of mange, probably picked up in those nasty Slytherin dungeons. Millicent and Hannah had charms together first year, and Millicent was the only one worse at charms than Hannah was. So Hannah decided to make it appear Millicent had practiced the grooming charm on Mrs. Norris before casting it on her own cat. Well, Hannah knew she wasn't good enough at charms to cast the spell herself, so she turned to her mastery of herbology and snuck an alopecia weed from the greenhouses. While she was administering the alopecia weed draft to Mrs. Norris, she saw Roger Davies, whom she had had a crush on since first year, walking out to the castle gardens with yet another in a long line of girlfriends. Despite her many attempts at flirting with him over the years, he had never even noticed her. Seeing him with that obnoxious ghost got her so flustered she forgot to return the alopecia weed, leaving behind the critical clue that pointed back to her. How was she to know that I had protected Mrs. Norris from any charms, and only a great herbalist like herself could be to blame? So indeed Hannah is the one to blame, but I believe in forgiveness, so we shall let her have dessert anyway. Well, for such good investigation, I reward 500 points to Gryffindor for my good work. Well, we seem to have the Gryffindors as house champions yet again. What a wonderful day. Well, I should probably get my beard out of my wine glass and wash it off. So let's have dessert and enjoy our evening. Well done, students.